All right, YouTube. This Detroit's HPTV. Just in breaking news out of New York. The DA has been pressured into prosecuting the immigrants. The immigrants that attacked the two police officers in downtown New York that he let go without bond. So much pressure came on him from the citizens. He had to fold and issue arrest warrants and arrest him so he could charge him. But common sense, these black Democratic DAs, they do the bidding of the Democrats so much that they don't even uphold their jobs to do it. Like, he's the district attorney in New York. If it had been black men or anybody else beating up cops, you think they'd have got out? For real. If you think that 6 or 7 black men, or white men for that, jump and beat up a cop in downtown New York, you think they're gonna get out without a bond? So you mean to tell me that they got a get out of jail free card? They implementing the purge where anything goes? I want to show you a couple of clips. First, I'm gonna show you last week when the people were outraged and putting the pressure on them. Then I'm gonna show you what just came out of Fox News this morning. Check out this from last week, though.
Show that assaults on officers are on the rise. Fox 5's Kendall Green live in Times Square with more tonight. Kendall.
Hey, good evening, Steve and Natasha. Many have already seen that disturbing video and wonder how it happened in the first place. And they also wonder how those 5 men have already been released from custody. But we're learning tonight assaults on police officers across the city are part of a growing, troubling trend. Around 8:30 Saturday night, you can see 5 men and 2 officers interacting on camera. Seems calm and ordinary until the pair of officers attempt to take down one of the men in yellow, pictured here. And then it gets ugly.
You saw the video. Reprehensible. Cowards.
It starts with one kick to a cop's head and only escalates from that point on. Seconds later, the men swarm around the officers already on the ground by this point, striking them both multiple times.
You want to know why our cops are getting assaulted? There's no consequences. And we must change this. End of story.
Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's office sent us a statement in part saying, quote, "Violence against police officers is never acceptable. It is paramount that we can..."
Let me stop right here. Now, if he's saying that it's not acceptable, why did he let him go? What motivated him to let him go? Think about that. That's why I say him and that Fannie Willis down there, they just jump out there like attack dogs for the Democratic Party and their agendas, and they look ridiculous in the face of it. Why did he let him go? No, they got away. They did something just a regular old black person or some regular citizen.
Conclusively identify each defendant and specify each participant's role in the incident. Every defendant charged so far is facing felony charges that carry a penalty of up to 7 years. It's not clear what triggered the fight, but it's part of a rising trend of citywide felony assaults on police. Police report a jump of 1,885 assaults in 2022 to 2,235 last year, representing a more than 15% spike in assaults during that period.
It really begs the question as to what is being done within the criminal justice system to not only keep officers safe, but keep us as a community safe.
Dr. Darren Porcher, retired as an NYPD.
Because they sure made it work when it worked against us. With Joe Biden and his crime bill and, you know what I mean, his tough on crime, they sure made it work for us. But what's really going on with these immigrants in the Democratic Party?
lieutenant and teaches now. He notes his concern with the potential attacks impact on numbers on the police force and contacts with NYPD's already troubling attrition rate.
When we look to situations such as officers being assaulted and the actual offenders being released, it really creates a greater propensity for people not wanting to take the job as being a police officer.
Now, the five men face the charges that include assault on a police officer, gang assault, and disorderly conduct, which, if convicted, carry up to 7 years in prison. That's the latest from Times Square. Kendall Green, Fox 5 News. Natasha, back to you.
All right, Kendall, thank you.
This game, you're not ready.
I'm going to give you another deeper aspect of the story that they found out on Fox News. Did you know that only a few years ago, an immigrant in New York actually unalived the police officer? Fox News was talking to her mother this morning. Fox News had breaking news this morning early. Let me show you what they discussed on Fox News.
Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg says he will present evidence to a grand jury tomorrow against the migrants charged with assaulting New York City police officers. It comes as Bragg faces criticism for releasing those suspects without bail. But Bragg says our office continues to work with law enforcement to bring everyone responsible for these heinous attacks to justice. We will not rest until every person who assaulted a police officer in this awful attack is held accountable. Marianne Mendoza is the mother of Sergeant Brandon Mendoza, who was killed in 2014 by an illegal immigrant in a wrong-way collision crash. And she joins me now. Marianne, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. You know, this exact scenario that took place in New York City is something that you've been warning about for years, and it's personal for you because of what happened to your son. So first, let's start with your reaction to this footage that shows these illegal immigrants beating up police officers. We learned that a lot of them have criminal records, and then they get released without bail.
This reaction and what happened in New York is absolutely what's coming next. I mean, there's no place else for this to go. The illegal criminals here in our country know that they can continue crimes, can commit crimes, they can shoplift, they can do heinous acts in the United States and never be held accountable. And Alvin Bragg knows that when you release an illegal criminal like that, they will never be found. And as we've heard, some of them are possibly already in California. They assume another identity. So this was the worst thing that he could have done. And the state of New York, it's 3.5 years minimum for assaulting a peace officer. And these men will face nothing. And you've got online chatter by these Venezuelan gangs saying, we have control of your streets. And, I believe them. I believe that something worse is coming down the chute.
Yeah, and we're looking at footage of these illegal immigrants after they beat up the police officers. They went to jail for a short period of time, and now they're giving the middle finger to the cameras, giving the middle finger essentially to the country, saying, we don't care. We got away with it. We've gotten away with it before. We'll get away with it again. And, Marianne, reading about your son, he's the exact type of person that every mother would want their child to grow up to be. And then his life gets cut short by somebody who shouldn't have even been in this country in the first place. Can you bring us back to that? Bring us back to 2014 and what you've been through.
Well, Carly, it was the worst day of my life, obviously. And Brandon was a very integral part of our community, and it really affected this our community of Mesa, Arizona, in the area that he patrolled in a very deep way, because he was a modern day beat cop. He did things for the community, and he didn't deserve to die this way. And in May it's going to be 10 years that I have been bringing the word out. The unfortunate thing is that the attention span of Americans is very, very short. They may listen to this story on the news, on your program, and say that poor lady lost her son. What's for breakfast? It just doesn't stick with people. And for 10 years for me speaking out about this, I really feel like America, we need to wake up.
We do.
We are collateral damage, and we are becoming second-class citizens. And the crimes that we would commit as an American citizen, and the restitution we would have to pay, these illegal criminals are getting off scot-free. And there's only so much America is going to be able to take. We're frustrated enough that it's government.
And Marianne, the man who killed your son had a past criminal record similar to these illegal immigrants in New York City who beat up the police officers. Are you surprised that this keeps happening? And what's the solution here?
No, I'm not surprised this keeps happening at all. In fact, it's happening more than people realize. These types of stories are usually kept from the public.
So you hearing it from a mother who was affected by it, you know what I mean? Because we all somebody's mother. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, we all somebody's kid. We all have a mother. But, you know, she's telling her experience with these migrants, immigrants, whatever you want to call them. You know what I mean? They're not even telling you half of the things that's going on in New York City as far as crime.
I'm sure that it's happened many, many more times in New York City, attacks on cops, but they try and suppress these types of stories. The solution is to close our border. The solution is to get somebody in DHS who's in charge, who understands the mission of Department of Homeland Security. And until we get people who are willing to stand up for American citizens, back the Constitution, back the oath that they took, and do the job that they were hired to do and that American taxpayers pay them to do to protect us, this is just going to continue getting worse.
Yeah. Well, like you said, a lot of these illegal immigrants are already fled to California. So it looks like as of now, they don't have any intention of showing up to that March 4th court date. Marianne, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story.
After months and months of...
So think about the story on a whole in depth level, what you just heard with, you know, the mother on there, what happened to her son. But the part that's eerie to me is that the immigrants, some of them who they looking for, escaped to California. So you mean to tell me this is just an all-out free for all purge? So now they're going to California with the same agenda, coming into Detroit with the same agenda, just intruders, intruder alert. But the citizens of New York, they pressured the DA and made him do what he had to do. All of them need to do their job without no pressure. But if they need incentive from the people to force them to do their job, then they got to be forced by the people to do their jobs. Signing to you out of Detroit. Peace. Keep your head up.